Instead, a werewolf prepper is somebody who is preparing to take from preppers.
This is very interesting because this is something that I have a little bit of knowledge about, and that's from running a live-action roleplay event. It was a scenario event that was through the medium of paintball, where basically we stripped away all of societal rules, we gave out resources, very limited resources to people, and then they had to kind of survive on this piece of property and deal with each other and see what strategies worked out for survival in this sort of situation where society has fallen. Every time we run this event, very early on, what you see is this werewolf prepper, or what I like to call raider mentality, come into play, and they are using extreme islands to get what they want. And because of that, they are able to be very successful early on against people who are still deprogramming themselves from societal rules. Because these raiders pose a threat, these good-hearted people, these good-natured people, are hardening up pretty quickly, and they form communities for defense. These really nice, compact social groups that have a uniting factor, whether it be external factors like the raiders attacking them, or that they have some sort of oath or creed or religion or something in common, familial bonds, that kind of thing. They start setting up camp and they start becoming very self-reliant. They gather resources much more successfully. They trade with other groups of like mind and like bent, and they become actually rather, well off in this situation where societal structure is gone. They basically reform society, which is great. That's fantastic. Now, on the flip side of the coin, you see these raiders partaking in this high-risk behavior to start. They actually do find success, but it comes at a cost. First of all, it's high risk. Every engagement they go through, they end up expending resources that they need later on, such as ammunition, medicine, materials to help them build fortified structures, that kind of stuff. They end up sacrificing that in the attempt to gather resources. Now, yes, they can strike it big, but relatively, it's not that big by the end of the scenario, because they are taking small pieces of pie from small isolated groups instead of being able to successfully take on a larger group that has a lot more resources. And when they do come up against these larger groups, they tend to fail very quickly, and their high-risk behavior does not pay off. At that point in time, they've kind of developed a reputation for themselves. These bigger groups, these bigger communities don't even want to deal with them. In fact, there was one time that one of the bigger communities saw that this set of raiders was basically blocking a trade route. They said, forget it, we're going to form a militia and go wipe them out, and that's exactly what they did. Now, yes, they incurred casualties, but they had the resources to deal with it, versus the raiders did not. Again, high-risk behavior starts out fine, but then it falls apart. And usually what I see at the end of these events is those who had a raider mentality are ostracized from any societies. They essentially don't have any resources. They're left out into areas that are lacking in any good shelter or anything like that. Ultimately, they fall to infighting pretty quickly. Those who are in power are blamed for decisions, and then the infighting starts, and that's when that group is basically destroyed by others. Ultimately, this raider mentality does not work out. It's not a long-term strategy, and it's something that I think when I see people comment and post like, oh, thanks for showing me what you have and all that kind of stuff, it just makes me sick to my stomach, because I go, that's a person who's ultimately doomed, and they are going to do something with extreme islands to others who really don't deserve that. And these people could be positive forces for the world, but then they end up just being a very negative one, and they'll pay the consequences for that. And that's just how that goes. Anyway, my 2 cents. Thanks for watching.